Now, going back 3+ years when Will Smith decided to go on stage live on television during the Oscars in 2022 and actually decided to slap Chris Rock in front of millions upon millions of people, that's exactly when he lost well over half his entire fan base, maybe even more than that, especially now, fast forward to 2025, when you have him going on this tour, going through all these different concerts, and how there's a lot of criticism rising right now of people pointing out that many portions of his crowd appeared to be computer generated to a certain degree. And we also know that he actually responded in a very politically driven way, putting out political tirades, political rants out there that obviously didn't do him any better by dragging politics into his career, whether it's for music or acting. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we already know that Will Smith is becoming more vocal ever since people have been pointing out his audience, right? His crowd out there. Like I said before, they appear to be computer generated in specific moments here and there. It's gone viral across all forms of social media. This is exactly why Will is dealing with a lot of outrage right now. But one thing about this has a lot to do with what Will Smith recently admitted in the midst of this overall drama and this backlash surrounding his comeback, or his attempted comeback, in his music career. Now, one thing is for certain about Will Smith right now is that we already know that he's trying to really double down by playing the blame game, scapegoating, pointing the finger at, these groups or this type of person out there, and it's just not working. Nobody's really buying any of that nonsense at all. However, ever since the Will Smith concert backfired after he was criticized of creating quote-unquote computer-generated crowds and snapped back with political rants and more, one major development going on now involves more to do with Will Smith delivering a series of news and announcements about his future and his career in acting and music. Now, Will recently delivered the following, by also admitting a certain truth. I'm not going to lie, he says, but since 3 years ago, it has been an uphill battle getting back to the way things used to be, before the terrible things said about Jada baited me into shattering my career into pieces. And now I'm just busy picking up those pieces and to see what works and what doesn't. But what I don't appreciate are those that don't provide me respect, because I feel it's something that I deserve. So one thing I would like to say and admit about, something I have kept locked up for a while as well, how do I express my emotions? And I feel the best way to express my emotions to the critics and to the posers out there that pretend to be my supporters is through music. And so I'm asking all of my fans to keep an eye out for 2026, because we are looking to expanding based on a true story with a second part that will call out the insanity going on in this country and the people who really just tried to make my life a living hell. I think critics deserve to be called out. It's just something that you have to address either artistically or directly. And in my case, I think it's best to do it artistically with my new album that I'm working hard on right now. I feel it's my duty to really call out those who also brought me down in 2022 after what happened on stage at the Oscars. I had a long discussion with Jada about this, and we thought this was the best way to move forward on how we could deal with my intense struggles with how I am now seen. And I believe this will help make everyone understand who I really am and where I come from, and most importantly, who I can evolve to be. Expanding based on a true story is my priority right now, to call out all of those who created so much noise and really just made things more difficult than they needed to be. And though the power of music and through the power of my soul, I think it will bring clarity. I think sometimes it will, and sometimes wonder to myself, perhaps what I did in 2022 was the best thing that ever happened to me, even if it was a mistake, a terrible mistake, even if it was something that baited me to do something that many perceived as horrible. In the end, it showed me who sticks with me and who doesn't. Now guys, let me just say one thing about Will Smith. You guys notice how he keeps saying how he was baited to do that slap on live television. I don't buy it at all one bit. I don't believe he was baited. I don't think Chris Rock knew Will Smith was gonna snap like that, leave the audience and go on stage and make a mockery of himself. I don't believe Chris Rock ever saw that coming at all. And sure, you're gonna have some people out there that will have differing opinions. Some people believe it was staged. Some people believe that it was partially staged. Or some people just flat out honestly are standing by their opinion that it really authentically happened. And the reason why I believe, it did authentically happen is that you have a lot of people out there that are very close to Will Smith that are heavily trying to defend him day in and day out. I don't think that they would be doing that if it was something staged. That's just my opinion, by the way, guys. So I would like to hear your take on everything related to that moment, whether or not it was set up. But what's interesting here, again, is how he's doubling down on expressing his political mindset and the critics that actually displayed their overall criticism toward him based on what he did in 2022, and how that's going to be used in a second part to his Based on a True Story album by Slang Records in 2026. You guys may recall, the first part debuted a couple of months back. I believe it was in like March or February. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it was right around that time frame, and really just did not work out well. The ratings weren't good, song by song, and people just didn't really tune in. So he continues and actually concludes, and politically I am seeing a trend of what side of the political spectrum stuck around after 2022. It's really an eye-opening experience to me, and that's going to be my fuel to creating something inspiring for the whole world. I know Jade is very excited, and my partnership with Slang Records, we are going to provide something powerful to the world that will show them a direct path to displaying your emotions. I have nothing to hold back, and I will continue with my tour and my album. So his tour so far, I don't think it's working out well for him because, number one, I don't think in 2025 a lot of people care about Will Smith anymore, and number two, quite frankly, I don't think the majority of Will Smith fans or even his ex-fans are going to come crawling back to supporting his musical career. I just don't see it happening. This may very well just be a little fad for a while until it just vanishes in a year and a half, maybe 2 years maximum, until he just goes back to a lot of movie making. But we know one thing about this for certain is that the fact that he's admitting this, the fact that he's working on a second part to Based on a True Story, how it's really going to crack down on the quote-unquote critics, the people that gave him a life of a living hell. I mean, he's just playing the victim card again here. He has nobody else to blame but himself, but what he did back in 2022, it's all pinned on him, right? It's all on him. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to make a mockery of himself. He could have actually took it, he could have actually bottled those emotions up, and maybe at the most, if he really wanted to, he could have had a little chat with Chris Rock behind the scenes, and that's it. That's all he really had to do. But again, we know one thing about Will Smith right now is that it really seems like he's trying to put all the attention on him, no matter what, if it's positive or negative, things that he's putting out there, he doesn't care. He wants attention at this point because he knows that essentially his comeback in acting isn't working, so now he's trying to give music a major shot, and so far that's also backfiring, especially after the computer-generated criticism. Whether that's authentic or not, who knows, but the signs are there. There are very interesting signs there that do point to it being generated. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about that below in the comments and everything happening with Will Smith and his upcoming album. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys later.